I'm Charlie.
I'm David, and this is the Sauced Hockey Podcast.
Today on Sauced, we're going to be reviewing the Four Nations Face-Off the championship game, USA versus Canada.
Yeah, we want to break down the final game. I think more people watched this game than in any game in the last 30 years that they've been tracking viewership. So I know a lot of you tuned in, probably have all heard about it, but we're going to break down the game and just our overall thoughts about the tournament itself, which was so good for hockey.
And we're also going to be teaching rules for new hockey fans, like offsides and icing and stuff.
Yeah, we thought this would be a good time since so many people might be new to hockey. Maybe you watched the Four Nations tournament and you're thinking, I think I might want to try to follow hockey, maybe watch a couple of games, or maybe you're going to go to a live game. You've never been to a live hockey game before, and understanding a couple of the basic rules that can be confusing to new fans, we thought it'd be a good time to break those down.
And we're going to have our featured card of the day.
Yeah, and just catch up around the league, right?
Catch up around the league.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. Going into the Four Nations final, I think our last episode, we were pretty much caught up with everything that happened in the tournament leading up to the final. The big showdown, USA versus Canada on Thursday night. What were your thoughts on the game, Charlie?
This is a really exciting game, like the first one.
Didn't quite have the same 9-second opening,
but
they were both trying to win, so not as many fights right off the bat or anything, but still a really physical and intense game.
But coming into the game, there was some news everywhere, because there's Charlie McAvoy out, and there's just everyone's. I was definitely wondering, will injuries affect our team?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Charlie McAvoy was really important to our team. He shut down, in the first game against Canada, he shut down the best player in the world, Connor McDavid. Actually, I shouldn't say shut down. Connor McDavid scored on McAvoy, really early on in the game. But ever since then, McAvoy has shut him down with a couple of big hits, yeah. But McAvoy was out, and there was some weird controversy surrounding that we talked about last time. But then we got news that who was going to replace him?
We got news that Quinn Hughes would replace him at first, and he didn't. But
yeah, it was weird. I think they just jumped the gun. Our coach or general manager came out and said, "Yeah, Quinn Hughes is coming." But he hadn't been medically cleared to play. He wasn't in the tournament yet because he had been injured. So for those that aren't aware, Quinn Hughes is arguably the best defenseman in the league this year. I would say Cale Makar is probably still better, but he's clearly number 2, if not number 1. And he's on Team USA. Cale Makar is on Team Canada. And we didn't get him to start the tournament. And then it looked like maybe we were going to get him for the final game, but it didn't end up happening. We had 6 healthy defensemen. So we had to stick with those 6 per the rules of the tournament, which was a little confusing, but in the end, we got there. And really, the game was very close. It was 2-2 and goes into overtime. So a really close match, despite missing one of our top defensemen. And
yeah, for sure. But yeah, the first goal was scored by Canada with Nathan MacKinnon in the first period.
Nathan MacKinnon had a great tournament. I think he ended up getting MVP.
Yes, he got
of the tournament.
He got MVP of the tournament.
And I think going into this, most people consider him the second best player in the world, with Connor McDavid being number 1, right? But MacKinnon won MVP of the league last season.
Yeah.
Won MVP of this tournament. He scored in every game he was in. There was a little discussion after from hockey fans, is MacKinnon taking over that role as the best player in the world? But, I mean, the Nashville Predators just played the Colorado Avalanche this past weekend, Nathan MacKinnon's team. And, I didn't feel like he was the best player in the world. Maybe we just played him well defensively that night, but
Yeah.
I still feel like every time we play the Oilers, like you really notice how different Connor McDavid is compared to everyone else. And McKinnon is different. He is very, very good, but I still think there's a little separation there that McDavid is the best.
Sometimes, I don't notice McKinnon every single time on the ice. I never forget whenever McDavid's on the ice, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, he's
I
just
always
the
like
way he
Walt
skates.
McDavid.
He's so fast and fluid and smart. It's incredible to watch.
He deserves best player of the league, though.
So McKinnon gets
the opening goal. And then Brady Tkachuk scores to tie it up for Team USA.
Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk, but probably Brady. I think Matthew was already a little more famous because his team won the Stanley Cup last year. Brady Tkachuk might have come out of this tournament as the biggest increase in stardom.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tkachuk brothers are currently the face of the NHL in USA, in America. I think so many people that didn't know hockey before are talking about the Tkachuks and want to know more about these guys. And
want to be Senators fans.
And Brady Tkachuk really rose to the occasion. I mean, he looked good. He was playing hard. He scored. It was fun to watch.
And then,
so now 1-1.
Which team scored the next goal?
I don't remember if we took the lead or if Canada took the lead, but ultimately then it goes to 2-2 and heads into overtime.
Yeah.
For none other than
Connor McDavid, the world's best player.
Best player, scores in OT.
Open in the slot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to lose the game and lose the final, I mean, props to Canada. They played a good game. It was obviously close, but at least you lost to the best player in the world, you know?
Yeah, so you're not going, oh no, you're going like, it's our mistake, we let him be open right there.
And I mean, let's mention Jordan Binnington. The goalie for Team Canada, we talked about this on this show, that going into the tournament, we felt like Canada's weak spot was their goaltending. And multiple times throughout the tournament, it proved to be their weak spot. I mean, you could say in Game 1, USA beat Canada probably because the 2 goals we scored before the empty netter in our first game against Canada were weak goals. I mean, those are very savable goals, and Binnington didn't make the saves. But Binnington has a reputation for being like above average, but not a superstar until the big game. And he has a way of just showing up for the biggest moments. It's how the Blues won the Stanley Cup with him back in 2019. And man, did he show up in the final, especially in overtime. USA was pouring it on in overtime. We had so many chances. Was it Brady Tkachuk that he robbed? No, maybe Austin Matthews. It was Austin Matthews, who we were hoping would show up for this final. In overtime, Matthews has a great chance right in front of the net. Binnington gets his glove over and robs him of the goal. And then they go down and McDavid's right in the slot. And unfortunately, it looks like it was Austin Matthews that should have been covering McDavid. And somehow he took his eyes off of the best player in the world. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, it's
always have someone guarding.
I saw a breakdown of this from Jeff Merrick. Have you seen his videos before?
No.
He does a really good job breaking down plays in the NHL. If you haven't, if you want to check him out on YouTube. Jeff Merrick. I don't remember what his handle is, but he did a breakdown of the final goal, and he showed that Adam Fox is going behind the net to cover Mitch Marner, who's in the corner. Mitch Marner makes a nice play to the corner, which is how he gets the puck and sees McDavid in the slot. But the way he goes around behind the net, he's kind of blocked by Hellebuck, so Matthews couldn't see that Fox was already heading to the corner to get on Marner in the corner. So Matthews goes out of his position to go cover Marner in the corner, and that's what leaves McDavid open. And Marner makes a perfect pass right past Austin Matthews to Connor McDavid in the slot, and bang, Canada wins. So interesting finish.
Interesting.
we talked before. Does this mean we said if USA wins, are we the best team? And we didn't win. It was close. You could make an argument that there should be another game. We beat them in the prelims. They beat us in the finals. But it's 1-1, right? And we beat them in regulation. This is what my wife kept pointing out. We beat them in regulation. They had to beat us in overtime. So technically, by hockey math, did they really win the tournament? So even by point standings. But we're not going to go down that road. We're not sore losers. We're going to say, good game, Canada. Nice job. We'll see you at the Olympics next year. This is a nice little appetizer for the 2026 Olympics in Italy. I'm so excited for that.
We're warming up.
Yeah, this was the warm-up. So it's going to be so much fun. I think having the four nations really set the stage for an awesome Olympics.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited for the Olympics now because after we saw, definitely, and especially there's going to be more teams now.
Yeah, the Olympics will bring in all the rest of the countries.
Which is going to be extra interesting.
I did see that the IIHF, I think, has gone ahead and said no international competition for Russia again this year. I don't know if that counts through to when the Olympics happen next year, but there's a chance we still won't have Russia, which, would be one of the better teams. They would have a stacked team of NHL players, so... in some ways you could say, oh, that opens up an easier path to winning. But I think most teams, while they would say, oh, that would be cool, probably would rather Russia still be in it so that you don't have to deal with that forever of saying, yeah, you won gold that year, but Russia wasn't in it. I think you'd rather have all the best teams there and know that you won, but you won against the best teams,
Yeah.
So this was your first experience watching best on best hockey.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the Four Nations tournament overall?
It is super cool. It just really wraps you in the game watching all of the best players from their respective countries.
Yeah.
Play off. There's action everywhere. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, every line, right? I mean, obviously, if someone makes it to the NHL, they're good. But when you're watching your favorite team, we're Predators fans. When we're watching our Nashville Predators, and the third line is out, and the fourth line is out, it's still exciting. You want your team to win. But not every player on the ice is just this incredibly skilled talent, like generational player. And when you get to best on best, every player, so when you look at our third and fourth lines, it's still full of players that are like the captain, the best player on their team back at their NHL team. You know what I mean? Like, it was incredible. It's fun to watch and cheer for players that normally you're rooting against because now they're on your team. That was really fun, rooting for the Tkachuks, rooting for players like Werenski, Jacob Slavin from the Carolina Hurricanes.
Slavin was amazing.
He jumped out to me more than anyone else as a player I hadn't noticed so much before. He might be the best defensive defenseman in the NHL. He was incredible. So many good blocks, so many good stick checks. I mean, McAvoy was good. Brock Faber was really good. I didn't realize, we watch him a little more. They're in the Central Division, but man, he looked so strong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a really special tournament, and I think the overall winner wasn't Team Canada. It was hockey. Hockey was the winner in this tournament. I mean, so many people. I think the total viewership between just USA and Canada, I don't think they had Finland and Sweden's numbers. I'm sure there were quite a few people watching back in Finland and Sweden, but maybe not as many since it was the USA-Canada final. The viewership between just USA and Canada was 16 million.
Wow. It's hard to think about that.
Yeah.
16 million people were watching hockey.
And that week, there were talks of Donald Trump talking about hockey, Joe Rogan talking about hockey. I mean, all the sports shows and analysts we're talking about hockey and comparing how hard these players played compared to watching like the typical NBA All-Star game or NFL All-Star game. I think everyone was just so inspired by how hard hockey players, how serious they take their game and the pride that they have every time they step on the ice. And I think PK Subban made a really good point that if you don't go out on the ice and try in a hockey game and really give your best effort, it's so visible because the game is so fast and so dangerous. You're going to get hit. You know, you have to go out every time and give it your all. And you can't say the same for other sports. It's not always as exciting. So I think a lot of people realize like, wow, this game is truly something special. And it'll be interesting to see how many people decide to keep following along this ride. Even if they don't become diehard hockey fans, maybe they just tune in a little more often, check out the playoffs. If you're interested in watching, we're going to break down some of the basic rules next. But going into the rest of this hockey season now, just for those that are just now following along, you're jumping in towards the end of the season. These next like 6 weeks or so are going to be very exciting as teams are battling for positions to get into the playoffs. The Stanley Cup playoffs are one of the most exciting of sporting events ever. There's 16 teams that get in out of 32 in the league, so only half the teams go in. It's a battle to get in. Once you're in, it is a brutally difficult tournament to win. 16 teams in a bracket, tournament style, but it's not like March Madness or something like that where one game and you move on. You have to win a best of 7 series to move on. So you've got to beat a team 4 times, then move on to the next round. So not only do you have to get in after an 82-game regular season, you then have to win 16 more games to win the Stanley Cup. It's extremely difficult and extremely exciting and really good hockey, really tough physical hockey. So this battle going into the playoffs is going to be intense. And along the way, this year particularly is going to be special because what are we watching these last few weeks? With Alex Ovechkin.
Alex Ovechkin, he is 12 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record, and he's on pace to do it too.
He's on pace to do it. Every game, if you want to check it out, follow the Washington Capitals and just watch every game they play. He's 12 goals away. He's getting really close. On Sunday, he had a hat trick. He had 3 goals in one game. So he could very easily do it. They probably have, 20 games left or so?
Yeah.
Something like that. So, I mean, he could definitely do it this year. I hope he does, just so he doesn't have to go through. He's 40 years old now, right?
Yeah, he's...
something like that.
Old.
Somewhere around 40. So he's just playing out of his mind. And he's on pace to break the record that nobody thought would ever be touched. So we have this special treat to watch in the final lead up to the Stanley Cup playoffs. So while it's always exciting, this year it's particularly cool just because we get to watch Ovi chase the record. So
something cool to definitely watch is the Eastern Conference. There's 2 conferences, but the Eastern Conference, they have a bunch of teams who are really close to getting into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And there's a special outdoor game, the Stadium Series here. When is it?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, this coming Saturday in Ohio, they're gonna have the Columbus Blue Jackets face the Detroit Red Wings, who are both currently sitting in the 2 wild card spots.
Which is insane, considering that, I mean, they're playing in the Stadium Series, and they just happen to be right next to each other in the wild card spot.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, it's going to be cool. The Stadium Series is a yearly event.
It makes it a little bit more exciting to watch because they both know that this is big and they definitely need to win it.
Exactly.
To keep their spot.
And the Stadium Series is a yearly event that they go to an outdoor stadium like the Winter Classic. If you watch that on New Year's Eve, They play an outdoor game in a football stadium, and this year it's in Ohio State Stadium. So, and it's between the Ohio hockey team, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Michigan hockey team, Detroit Red Wings. So it kind of feeds on that Ohio State-Michigan football rivalry, but with a hockey game in the football stadium. So that'll be cool this Saturday, 6 p.m. on, don't remember who has the coverage for that one, ESPN or TNT or something like that. So that'll be fun to watch. But yeah, they're sitting in the wild card spot. The way the playoff format works, if you've never watched before, he mentioned that there were 2 conferences, Eastern and Western Conference, and in each conference there's 2 divisions. The top 3 teams, so out of, I think it would be 8 teams in each division, right? Somewhere about there.
Yeah.
The top 3 of 8 automatically get into the playoffs. So now that's 6 from each conference. You get 2 more. Remember, there's 16 teams, 8 in each conference. So 2 more get the wild card spots, and it's the top 2 teams from that conference that aren't already in. So the next 2. And they could both be from the same division, or it could be 1 and 1. It's just the next best 2. And that wild card race in the Eastern Conference is going to be very close. There's a lot of teams, I think at least 5 or 6, very closely packed together in the standings, battling for those 2 spots that currently are held by Columbus and Detroit. So, and not only do they play, I didn't realize this, they play each other before the Stadium Series. I think Thursday night or something like that, and then play again on Saturday.
The schedule.
Yeah, I don't know who did that, if they thought like it would be cool so that it's like a revenge, like rematch game for one of the teams. But it's weird. They're playing each other this week in a regular game, and then on Saturday night in a Stadium Series game. So that's going to be 4 massive points up for grabs for those 2 teams. And both teams are young, playing really good. Columbus being led by their defenseman, Zach Werenski, who played for Team USA at 4 Nations.
He's doing awesome.
Had USA won, I think Werenski would have received MVP. I think he led the tournament in points. He just had an incredible tournament, and it's good. I think a lot of people are noticing how good he is. He was featured on the What Chaos podcast yesterday.
Yes.
And I heard them ask him, you know, are you doing anything different this year? This is like a breakout year for him, or what do you think is the difference? You have a new coach. Is it the new coach? And he said he feels like he's doing everything the same. The difference this year is how much better all of his teammates are playing. He said he feels like most of his team, which is a fairly young team, have all taken a big step forward. Kirill Marchenko, Adam Fantilli, Sean Monahan, who else is on that top line? Yeah.
He's doing good.
There's someone else on the top line with Marchenko I'm missing. That's really good. He mentioned. Who's their center on that line?
See it.
Do you remember? But anyway, he mentioned just that his players, his teammates are all just taking a big step forward, which I thought was cool of him to say. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm doing the same things I'm always doing. It's just the people I'm passing the puck to have gotten so much better. It's, you know, the whole team's doing better. So Columbus, cool team to watch. And Detroit, they got a new coach back in December, and all of a sudden they're one of the hottest teams in the league. So, which is really good. Red Wings are one of the oldest teams in the league and have a strong fan base who have been desperate to see them be good again. They won the cup back in 2000, around there.
Yeah, not
something
2000,
like that.
but around that.
And you know, they've really fallen off the last few years. So cool to see Detroit back in the mix.
Yes.
Well, with that, I think ready to go through some basic rules.
Let's go through some basic rules.
Okay, so welcome all you new hockey fans. We want to now just break down some of the basic rules and penalties and just the format of the game. So if you're watching for the first time, trying to follow on TV, or maybe you're going to a game in person and you want to understand it just a little bit better, here's the basics you need to know before watching your first hockey game, just to understand the flow a little bit better.
I'm going to teach offsides first. Real quick. I'm just gonna on the rink there's a bunch of like patterns and stuff on the ice. let's do face-offs, maybe, or like the face-off circles and stuff.
Okay.
There is, like, I don't know how many circles
There's 5
there's
circles.
5 circles.
But 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dots.
9 dots.
All of these dots could be the location of a face-off. A face-off occurs at the beginning of the game. That's when you see the 5 players on one side and the 5 players on the other side all lined up. And the referee has the puck, the black disc, and he comes to the middle, and then he drops the puck in the middle right on the face-off dot, and 2 guys battle for it. That's pretty simple. But those face-offs could occur all over the ice based on wherever there's a stoppage. And there's stoppages for things like offsides, icing, penalties, the puck going out of the arena. Any of these things, the referee will have to blow his whistle. Oh, and freezing the puck. That's a big one that causes the ref to blow the whistle. And so a lot of times when I'm watching hockey with someone for the first time, they're always asking, oh, why'd they stop? Why'd the puck blow the whistle? Which stopping in hockey occurs a lot less often than a sport like football, where you stop every 5 seconds or 10 seconds for a play. It's very continuous, but there are a few things that cause the play to stop. And every time it stops, they're going to restart with a face-off, which occurs on one of these dots inside one of the circles Charlie was talking about. Or the offsides dots don't have a circle around them, but there's another dot there, right?
In offsides, on the rink, there's you may see two. You'll see 2 blue lines going across the ice, and so there's offsides in soccer too. It's kind of like that, but a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're familiar with soccer, the way it works is the ball has to pass the last defender on a team before a player that's on offense can go run past that defender. I can't be sitting back cherry picking behind all of the defenders waiting for someone to just kick the ball all the way down the field. And it's similar in hockey, but instead of it being the last defender, it's
the blue line.
The blue line on your offensive side. So on the side that I'm trying to score on, the blue line that you'll see before it gets down to that net, we always have to get the puck across that blue line before any of our players can go across the blue line.
Yes.
If a player is across the blue line before the puck, the referee won't blow the whistle right away, but there's a linesman. It looks like a referee. He's wearing the black and white jersey, but he doesn't have an orange thing on his sleeve. If you see the orange thing on the sleeve, that's the referee. The ones without the orange, those are called linesmen. You'll see them sitting right on the blue line watching. And if a player goes across the blue line before the puck, he'll put his arm up signaling that that player is offsides. He'll usually even yell like, off, off, to make sure the player realizes he's offsides. Now, if the puck then enters the zone and one of the offensive players touches it while the referee's arm is up, he's going to blow the whistle for offsides, and they're going to have to restart. But he gives them a chance there before they touch the puck. All the players can come back on sides, and then he'll put his arm down, and they can go back into the zone. So it's just to keep from cherry picking. You can't just sit in the offensive zone and wait for someone to shoot the puck all the way down, and then you get it and score. You have to enter the zone effectively as a team with the puck going in first, and that's not easy to do. Teams set up really good structure to prevent you from getting into the zone. So that brings up, why doesn't a team just huck the puck all the way down into the zone and then go get it?
If you're watching a hockey game, there's not just 2 blue lines. There's a red line down the middle where the face-off is, but there's a rule called icing. If you are in your defensive zone, or you just not past the red line, and you just chuck the puck all the way down the ice, and the other team gets back there first, it's icing, and there's a face-off back in your defensive zone. But you can chuck it down, but one of your players has to go up there and get to it first before the other teams for it to not be icing.
Yeah, so you do still have an opportunity to try that if you want. You could get it all the way in your zone, shoot the puck all the way down to the other side, and as long as your team gets there first, it's fine. But if the other team gets there first, their defense is back, the whistle's gonna be blown for icing. Or else, every time you had the puck in the wrong side, you could just hit it all the way down to the other side, and it just wouldn't make for a very exciting game because you don't have to work that hard to get the puck over to the other side. So they want it to be more skillful, they want it to be more challenging, and therefore, if you do that, the whistle's going to be blown for icing, and the face-off will come all the way back to your defensive zone, which you really don't want. And all your players that were on the ice have to stay on the ice when you do an icing play, which means if you're really tired, the other team's been attacking for a couple minutes, and all your players are exhausted, and you shoot the puck down the ice because you just got to get it out of your zone before they score, but you ice it by accident, they all have to stay out there and keep playing, and the other team can change their players if they want. So a lot of times after an icing, you're going to see the best players from the other team come on the ice. Now they get to start with the puck in the offensive zone off a face-off with a bunch of tired players on the other team. So icing is not something you want to do. It's not something you want to see from your team. That's usually a mistake by the team that ices the puck. Now, what about freezing the puck? Those sound kind of similar. Icing the puck, freezing the puck. What does it mean to freeze the puck?
If you shoot and the goalie saves it, he can keep the puck and freeze it, which means the play stops and there's a face-off.
So, anytime the goalie is in his crease and the puck's around him, he doesn't want the puck loose and everyone just hacking at it with their sticks trying to put it in the net. As soon as the puck is near the goalie, he can try to freeze it. He can cover it with his glove. He can hold it in his glove. He can just lay on it with his body. And as soon as the puck is frozen by the goalie like that, the referee's going to blow the whistle. He might give them 1 or 2 seconds to make sure the puck isn't loose underneath the goalie. If the puck's loose and he sees that it's loose, the goalie doesn't have control of it. He'll let the players keep trying to score. But if the goalie covers it and it's not loose, he's going to blow the whistle and the puck is frozen. All that means is they stop and they're going to have a face-off still in that zone. But unlike icing, the other team can both teams can change their players if they wish off of freezing the puck, which is helpful. If you're stuck in your defensive zone, you need your goalie to make a big save and cover the puck. So you'll hear the fans for that team a lot of times start cheering when a goalie makes a big save like that and freezes it, because he knows that's a big moment. The other team was about to score. He was able to slow the play down and now get his players to change if they need to change, so they can get off the ice and get fresh ones out there. Which brings us to changing players. When you're watching a hockey game, you constantly see players coming on and off, on and off, on and off, and they don't wait. Like in basketball, if you watch a basketball game, they can change players too, but they have to wait until a stoppage of play. They can't just run off the court whenever they want. In hockey, it stays so fluid, but the game is so fast that an offensive player might only be on the ice for 30 seconds or 1 minute and then go off for a change. And they can do that whenever they want, right?
Yes.
With the exception of icing. So the interesting things to watch there, they have to be really skillful with their line changes. They got to be paying attention and make sure they're going on the ice at the right time as the other player's coming off. Because if they accidentally mess that up and have too many players on the ice at the same time, similar to like football or something, that's going to be a penalty. So that'll be a penalty for too many men. There are many other penalties too, and this is how power plays happen. You might have seen teams be on the power play. What happens when you get a penalty in hockey?
If you get a penalty, let's say you trip someone. Next time your team has possession of the puck, the ref blows the whistle and the play is over. And whoever did the penalty goes to the penalty box. And for just a regular trip, it's only 2 minutes that they serve in the penalty box.
Many of the penalties will be 2-minute penalties. Those are called minor penalties. So tripping, Slashing, if you hit the player's stick or hands too hard with your stick, it'll be considered a slash. That can be a little confusing because there's going to be a lot of stick checking like that. So learning which ones are slashes can be a little bit confusing, but it's an easy one is if they hit the hands. If I hit him in the hands with my stick, that's going to be slashing. High sticking, if I ever get my stick up into his face or his head, that's called high sticking. Cross-checking, you take your stick and bang, hit someone like this with your stick. Cross-checking. Boarding, if a player is turned facing the board, so you can see his numbers, and you smash into his back so he goes face first into the boards, that's called boarding. That's a confusing one because a lot of times you see body checks into the boards that are legal. You can hit a player into the boards when he has the puck, but not when he's facing the boards. It's too dangerous. It happened to our captain last night. Roman Josi got hit with a dirty hit, a boarding hit into the board. So that's a 2-minute penalty. What are some other ones? Slashing, cross-checking, tripping, boarding. Too many minutes. Interference. Hitting a player that doesn't have the puck or just getting in his way, knocking him over when just trying to stop him from getting down the ice. That's called interference. Goaltender interference. If you go run into the goalie, you'll see he has a blue crease in front of the net that he's allowed to stand in. You can't go into that crease and knock into the goalie. That's a penalty. Roughing, just being too rough after a play. Fighting is a major penalty. That's a 5-minute penalty. A lot of people are confused about fighting. Like, is that allowed? Technically, it's not allowed. They're going to get a penalty for it, but it's just 5 minutes. So they can take out their aggression on each other and their anger and fight each other, and then they're going to go sit down for 5 minutes. You'll see that a lot of times after a dirty hit. Last night, for example, in the Nashville Predators game, our captain was boarded from behind by Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers, and one of our biggest players, Luke Schenn, went up to Sam Bennett and dropped his gloves and said, "Let's fight. You hit my captain. Now you gotta stand up and pay the price." And Bennett did not. He did not fight him. He was, I guess, scared to fight Luke Schenn, and that's considered in hockey a cowardly play. If you do something dirty in hockey, you're expected to then have to go fight to defend yourself because the other team's mad at you, and it's kind of a way that they police each other. So, especially because he didn't get a penalty for the boarding either, did he?
I don't remember if he did or not.
I don't think he even got a penalty, so the refs can really lose a handle on the game, and it'll start getting a lot rougher, and there'll be a lot more fighting penalties and things if the refs don't do a good job calling the penalties when they happen. But, I mean, there's 10 players on the ice plus 2 goalies, and there's only 2 referees, so they're not going to see everything. And then sometimes the players start to take it into their own hands. And then sometimes you'll have a longer penalty. If, for example, if a high sticking cuts the player and he's bleeding, it'll automatically go to a 4-minute, a double minor, instead of just a 2-minute penalty. Now, every time these guys are in the box, what happens? The other team goes on the power play. How does that work?
The power play, you have at least one more player than they do. So if someone gets a penalty, their team has to play with only 4 players until he comes out of the penalty box, which gives the other team a big advantage.
Significant advantage. It's so difficult to defend on the power play. It's called being on the penalty kill when you're the team that has a penalty. That now you are allowed to ice the puck and they won't blow the whistle for it. Because every time you get the puck when they're on the power play, you're just trying to get it out of your zone as fast as you can. So you might see that happen and hear fans cheering their team on when they clear the puck out of their zone while the other team's on the power play. There's often a very high chance of scoring when you have the power play. What's a good power play percentage in the league right now? Do you know?
No,
maybe around like 20 or 30%.
Yeah, that's probably.
And that might not sound like a lot, but when you consider that there aren't that many goals in a game, if you have a 20% chance of scoring in a 2-minute power play, and let's say you get 5 power plays in the game, which would be a lot, but that's reasonable. There's games where you get 5 power plays. It means you're going to score on at least one of those, right? With a 20% chance. So it's a significant portion of the goals in hockey come on the power play. So it's an exciting thing. Every time someone gets a penalty, it's like, oh, here we go. There's going to be a power play. Now, what happens if the team on the penalty kill gets another penalty?
Then if they're already on 4 players and someone gets a penalty, they go down to 3 players.
Yeah.
Which gives the other team an even bigger advantage.
And now it's 5-on-3. You'll see it called 5-on-3 or
2-man advantage.
2-man advantage, and that's massive. It's just such a huge advantage. But that's as low as it can go. It won't go down to 5-on-2. If they get another penalty, it'll just put another man in the box for another 2 minutes. So you might get a longer 5-on-3 because one guy might get out of the box, but the other guy's going to have to stay in there. But they won't go down to 5-on-2. It's 5-on-3 is as low as it'll go.
Another rule. If you're on the penalty kill, defending the power play, there's no icing.
Right.
You're allowed to just clear the puck and you won't get icing.
Yeah, and that's a very helpful thing when you're the defending team. Okay, so we covered offsides, icing, freezing the puck, some penalties. One of the ones we didn't cover, one of the penalties, is if you shoot the puck out of the arena from your defensive zone, that's a penalty for delay of game. If it hits the ice or the glass before it goes over, that won't be a penalty. You're allowed to shoot it off the glass. So if it hits the glass and then accidentally goes over, but if you shoot it clean out of the arena, out of the ice, when you're in your defensive zone, so behind your own blue line, that's a penalty for delay of game. Any other time, it's not a penalty. It'll go out of the arena pretty frequently, which means if you're going to a live game, always keep your eyes on the puck. It can fly out of the arena and it can come out and it hits people in the audience sometimes. If you're sitting right behind the net, there's usually a mesh net that goes all the way up to the ceiling or really high to stop pucks from going out. Since they're shooting that direction, it goes that way a lot. So the net will block a lot of those. When I was a kid, there was no net. And we sat behind the net at the Ice Bears games all the time. So I have a lot of pucks that came out into the audience that you would run over and grab and take home as a souvenir. But nowadays there's nets covering a pretty good portion behind the net that they're trying to score on. And that catches some of the pucks. But on the sides, there's no net because they don't want it to disrupt the view for the audience. So just keep your eyes on the puck. Always be ready. Pucks can fly over the boards, the glass. Sticks can fly over the boards and glass. They come flying out of somebody's hand. So just look out for that. Teeth, if they're in the middle of a fight. No. So watch out for that. Any other basic rules we want to cover? That covers penalties, icing. You're allowed to pull your goalie, which generally happens in 2 situations. So if you're watching a game and randomly you see your goalie go flying over to the bench, that's allowed and another player gets to go on instead. So at all times, you're allowed to have up to 6 players on the ice as long as you don't have someone in the penalty box, which means a goalie can swap out for an offensive player if he wants. The 2 situations that occurs are at the end of the game. Oh, I put up the number 2, so we got some balloons. At the end of the game, when your team is losing and you realize you're going to lose anyway, they're going to pull their goalie to just see if they can get an extra player and tie it up. The other situation is when the other team has committed a penalty. Remember, Charlie said that the referee blows the whistle once they gain possession of the puck. So if I have the puck and he commits a penalty on me, the referee, the one with the orange band, is going to raise his arm, signifying that there's a penalty. But as long as my team has the puck, he won't blow the whistle yet. He's going to give us the opportunity to finish that offensive chance and score. Since he's going to blow the puck, as soon as the other team that committed the penalty touches it, our goalie's going to go ahead and leave because they can't really score. Although it is possible that they score. If I accidentally shoot the puck and it bounces off the boards or something and rolls all the way back down into my net, It is possible for that goal to be scored, but very unlikely. So usually when one team's going to have a penalty called on them, the other team, the offensive team, will go ahead and pull their goalie and get an extra skater. Now it's effectively like they have a power play for a little bit of time before the referee blows the whistle, and then they get their 2-minute power play. So you'll see the goalie get pulled sometimes in hockey. I think that for the most part gets you the basics. Obviously, there's lots of other little rules along the way that you're going to want to learn, but now when you go to a game, you can follow along and kind of understand why the referee's stopping it, when the referee's going to blow the whistle for what. Just watch those linesmen and referees to understand the penalties and offsides being called, and that's the flow of hockey. It's an exciting game, so fun to watch, but feel free to ask questions to other hockey fans, or shoot us, drop us a comment if there's a rule you're curious about. We'll be happy to answer. But enjoy the game. Hockey's a heck of a sport to watch, and definitely our favorite, but we're biased, obviously. So, okay, are we ready to? I think this has already been a pretty long episode. You want to just shoot to our featured cards?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's my turn.
Your turn to go first. What you got?
I've got a cool Team USA card. Could have been the MVP of the tournament, but Zach Werenski.
Oh, good one. We were just talking about him. Zach Werenski for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'd say one of the top 3 defensemen in the league this year. Probably still behind Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. But I would guess he's going to fill that 3rd spot for the Norris Trophy, which goes to the best defenseman in the league. I bet he's going to get a lot of votes. He's been incredible. That's a good pick. Anything cool on there?
Oh, it says, Werenski became the most prolific goal-scoring defenseman in Columbus history on November 9th, 2019. This card was made in like
2019, he became the most prolific scorer in Columbus Blue Jackets defenseman?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't realize he's been playing that good for that long. That's a perfect example of what I said earlier. Like, this is a kind of a breakout season for him. Everyone's noticing him. But he's been good for a while.
But he's never had a season quite like this, for sure.
Yeah.
Back here, he averages like 40 points a season.
Okay. And what's he have this year? Any idea?
I don't know. Probably like 60.
Yeah.
His first period tally against Colorado was the 42nd of his NHL career and moved him past Radoslav Klesla.
For most goals by a defenseman?
Pretty sure.
That's cool. What series is that card? It looks nice.
2020-21 SP.
Awesome.
Hockey.
And those you got he got a big box of cards from my parents for Christmas, right?
Yes.
A big box, and he found that set in there. That's a cool one.
I'm still
Shout out.
through sorting.
Shout out to Granny and Grandpa, huh? Okay. I've got a cool one. Montreal Canadiens. I just finished reading this guy's book. If you are a new hockey fan and you're a book lover, this is one of the, I'd say maybe the best sports book I've ever read. It's called The Game by Montreal Canadiens legendary goaltender Ken Dryden.
How old is that? Why is it zooming in on me?
I don't know, probably because you were talking. This card is, let's see. It only has his 73-74 stats on it. I'll read it. Back with the Canadiens after a year's absence to pursue his law career. He's got a really interesting story. Ken is hoping to regain his all-star form. He led Montreal to the Stanley Cup twice in the last 4 seasons. Ken is one of the tallest goalies in hockey. He's 6'4", which nowadays is normal, but back then wasn't normal. He was All-American at Cornell and a past winner of the Calder and Conn Smythe trophies. He went on to win a few more Stanley Cups. The Canadiens basically dominated the 70s. And Ken Dryden was a part of that, a big part of that. We were just in Montreal, so it was exciting kind of reading his book and reading about the Canadians of that time. Great book, so if you're interested, check that out. The Game by Ken Dryden. I highly recommend it. Well, shall we wrap it up for today?
Okay.
That was a great episode. I hope you guys enjoyed just learning some of the basic rules of hockey. Again, let us know in the comments if you have any other questions about the game. And tune in the rest of the season. It's going to be quite a run to the Stanley Cups. Our Predators, if you're a Preds fan like us, we had a good win returning from the Four Nations break against the amazing Colorado Avalanche. We shut them down on Saturday night and then got blown out by the New Jersey Devils on Sunday. 5-0, looked pathetic. We just really struggled in that game. And then last night, another tough loss against the Florida Panthers. So Predators are right back with the terrible season that they had before the Four Nations. Any hope of coming out after the break refreshed and rejuvenated, ready to finish the season, did not happen. They still look like they just can't figure out a consistent game, unfortunately.
I think we might need a new coach.
Maybe. I mean, it might be the system we're trying to play. I think I'd like the coach. Maybe it's his system. But, I mean, we have way, way too talented of a roster to be as bad as we are. So something's got to change. We'll see what happens with the Preds. It's going to be an interesting finish to the season just to see what they decide to do. Looks like we're for sure going to have a top 5 draft pick, so there'll be that looking forward to this offseason, see what young player we add to our prospect pool. But rough season for Nashville Predators fans. Yeah. All right. Well, we're signing off. Everybody have a great week. I'm sure we'll probably have an episode maybe this weekend, kind of catch up on some more stuff around the NHL. Check out the OV race, see if he gets any more goals this week, and catch up on Nashville Predators and other NHL items. So thanks for tuning in. Do all the things. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, share. We've been posting some shorts on social media. We had one about will the USA be considered the greatest hockey country after the Four Nations tournament? And that did not age well. The USA lost in the final, unfortunately, but a lot of you guys were commenting on that one saying yes or no. So that was an exciting one. But check us out on social media. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, Twitter, or X. So check us out there. Bye, guys.